We stand together, or we die alone. My name's JR, and this is Warframe, built to destroy. Hey, what's up pups? It's JR and we're back again with the Season 3 finale of Built to Destroy. Before we get into this, I'd like to preface this by saying that come the 20th of March, I'm going to be live streaming on Twitch and I'm not going to stop until I get Zephyr Prime. So if you ever wanted to come out and see me stream but never got the chance, or were always late, there's a high chance you'll be able to make this one. Make sure to follow me on Twitch and Twitter to know exactly when I go live. I'll see you there. But for now, let's shine some light on another Warframe. Zephyr will get her time in the limelight. But since we mentioned my Twitch, I'll quickly point out that a few people tried to guess what the next Warframe for BTD was going to be. The two I remember off the bat were Atlas and Octavia, which those were both incorrect. I did say that it was either going to be one of two things. I was either going to rebuild Zephyr for her new reworked kit, as my old video is a bit outdated, or I was going to build another Warframe that I didn't mention. If I were to make another Built to Destroy on Zephyr, I would ideally like to wait until I had Zephyr Prime, but that's still a little bit of a ways away. So I have since decided that I'm going to be making this video on the other Warframe I was thinking of. Funny story, I actually did not like this Warframe very much at first, but after I built its Prime long after it got a rework, I discovered that even though I was looking for a tanky medic Warframe to be added for the longest time, it had existed all along. One full build later, and this Warframe made its way up to the number 2 spot in my top 10 favorite Warframes, whereas beforehand, it wasn't even on the list. Prepare for your reckoning, Tenno. Oberon Prime. We must reach far. Oberon Prime is the Prime variant of the Warframe Oberon, whose kit was designed to fit the role of a Paladin, a character class that typically focuses on supporting their allies, but is able to tank damage all the while. Oberon Prime comes with 125 base health, 100 base shields, 225 base armor, and 175 base energy, with an average sprint speed of 1.0. He has abilities that give his allies additional armor, makes them immune to status procs, and heals them, but that isn't to say his kit lacks in crowd control. His first ability is Smite. When cast on an enemy, Oberon essentially causes the target's soul to explode into several soul projectiles, dealing 500 base damage to the target at max rank. But it doesn't stop there. Smite also always procs the initial target with a radiation proc, meaning they go into if it moves kill it mode and might attack allies, taking the aggro off of you for a short time. In addition, casting Smite on an enemy will send out 6 orbs that will fly around looking for nearby enemies for 12 seconds. The number of orbs created by Smite is affected by power strength, and the duration for which they exist is affected by power duration. Each orb that comes in contact with an enemy will deal a base stat of 150 damage, but that can be increased with power strength, and the orb's damage is also affected by the enemy's max health, also taking shields into account. This means when you cast Smite on an enemy, it will take 35% of that enemy's max health and convert it into damage for the orbs, which can then dish out the damage to any enemy they see fit, including the initial target. I would advise using this ability on heavy units like Bombards and Corpus Techs, or high health enemies like Eviscerators and Hayaka Masters. Oberon's second ability is Hallowed Ground. When cast, Oberon spawns a holy field in front of him with a base range of 15 meters that lasts a base duration of 20 seconds. While this is active, any ally standing in Hallowed Ground will be completely immune to status procs and will have any active status procs removed from them. On the other end of the spectrum, any enemies that step into the Hallowed Ground will take damage over time, 100 base damage per half second to be exact, as well as having a 15% chance to be radiation procced. The damage over time, duration, and range of Hallowed Ground are all affected by their respective mods. Hallowed Ground also has another very helpful function, but we'll come back to that soon enough. Oberon's third ability is Renewal. When cast, Oberon sends out a healing wave that, when it comes in contact with an ally, immediately heals them for a base value of 125 health, as well as healing them over time with a base value of 40 health per second, so long as the ability remains active. Renewal does not have a duration, but instead drains energy according to how many allies are being affected. The base values are 2 energy per second if only Oberon is affected, as well as 3 more energy a second per affected ally. Meaning, if you cast Renewal on a full squad with no companions equipped, the base energy drain of Renewal will be 14 energy per second. Luckily, that is affected by power efficiency. In addition to healing your allies, so long as renewal is active, any allies, including Oberon, that are affected by it can step into hallowed ground to gain a base stat of 200 additional armor. Don't worry, you don't have to stay in hallowed ground the whole time. Simply stick around long enough for Oberon to cast it, then step in and get back to the mission. As a side note, as an Oberon player, stop fucking running away from me, I'm trying to heal you and buff your armor. Oh, what's that, you died? Oh, I wonder how we could have prevented that. Renewal's energy drain, as well as the duration of the armor buff after renewal has ended, are both affected by duration mods. The drain is also affected by efficiency, and the amount you heal, as well as how much armor you get from hallowed ground, are both affected by power strength. Oberon's fourth ability is Reckoning. When cast, Oberon picks up all enemies in a base range of 15 meters and subsequently slams them into the ground, dealing 625 radiation damage when he picks them up and 1,250 impact damage when he slams them into the ground. In addition, any enemies that were not caught by the initial cast of Reckoning and are in a base range of 4 meters from any enemy that was caught in Reckoning will be blinded for a base duration of 4 seconds. Enabling it to be quite the CC ability, seeing as how Reckoning not only radiation procs any enemy it damages, but also ragdolls them after they are slammed into the ground. As a final neat note, there's also a 50% chance that any enemy hit by Reckoning will spawn a health orb, whether they die or not. As far as augment mods go, I can recommend 2 of them, those being Smite Infusion and Phoenix Renewal. We'll take a look at Phoenix Renewal first, seeing as how it's more of a generally used augment. Phoenix Renewal makes it so that if any ally is affected by renewal when they die, they will be immediately brought back to 50% health and shields instead, as well as having an invulnerability period for a short time. However, after Phoenix Renewal saves someone once, it is then on cooldown for 90 seconds, and during this time you are able to die like you are normally. The amount of health and shields restored is affected by power strength, however the cooldown is always 90 seconds. Now for Smite Infusion. Smite Infusion makes it so Smite can be cast on an ally, giving them 100% bonus radiation damage with everything they have. Think of it as a single cast Roar, but with radiation damage instead of general damage. The duration of the buff and the amount of damage you give them are both affected by their respective mods. This isn't typically a good augment to have on in any normal mission, but it is extremely helpful when hunting Eidolons, because the Terrorist, Gonchalist, Hydralist, and pretty much every member of the Sentient faction is extremely weak to radiation damage. So if you plan on pulling a Tridolon run, I'd advise having an Oberon with Smite Infusion in the squad. And with all that out of the way, onto my build. I have Primed Continuity increasing my duration, Vitality increasing my overall health, Flow increasing my energy, but you can use Primed Flow if you have it, I personally get along fine without, Fleeting Expertise and Streamline increasing my efficiency, Blind Rage increasing my strength, Hunter Adrenaline to give myself energy whenever I take damage on my health, which for Oberon is no problem, and finally, Phoenix Renewal for normal missions and Smite Infusion for Eidolon hunting. You may ask why my Fleeting Expertise is only rank 4 out of 5. Well, that's because a max rank Primed Continuity completely counteracts the negative of Fleeting Expertise if it's at rank 4, and if you use Streamline in conjunction with Fleeting Expertise at rank 4, you will still get the maximum efficiency of 75%. However, Blind Rage is bringing mine down to 25%, but that's still more than enough. In addition, I have Energy Siphon in my Aura slot and Cunning Drift in my Exilus slot. So let's see what Oberon can do against some level 135 MOAs. That's going to do it for this episode of Built to Destroy. If you enjoyed this video, consider dropping it a like, and make sure to hit that subscribe button to become a pup if you haven't already. Also, if you want to support me and the channel, consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month. My name's JR, and I'll see you guys in the next season.